the country, some of the top media houses this week, making some great strides in defending government policies. I have to say kudos to you. Good morning to you, Laura.
Good morning, Roland.
Great work, great work. I think I watched your Metro and a number of them. You've been Charlie on a spree. Thank you once again. And then also close by we have Nanaya Achempem Jantwa, currently the General Secretary for the Convention People's Party, the Reform Party for the original Osajefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Thank you.
Why Reform Party?
Oh, it's not the original, but...
Who said it's not the original?
Please forgive me. Forgive me. Nanaya Achempem Jantwa. But years past was the lead communications person, public relations, corporate communications for the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, even though she's a regular for today, especially when it comes to the Women's Caucus that we do on TV3Newday. She's also the best person to speak on the issues of the utilities and why we're seeing what it is. Good morning to you again. My fans. Fans. Indescribable.
They should come and
do their defense. Also, you tell us your experiential moments. And then Margaret and say, did I pronounce your me, I'm only used to Mago. For those of you who went to GIG, you call her
Great Meg.
Great Meg. Mago, good morning to you. She is with the National Communication Team, speaks for the NDC, but also contested the National Women's Organizer position in the last national elections of the NDC. Mago, I love your hair.
Thank you.
Great. Resembles the one Cookie has been putting on. I don't know. I'll ask Cookie whether you guys got it from...
I think I saw the
similarity. Yeah. But Cookie's own Charlie be expensive.
Oh, yeah, I know. Hers is the original.
And then yours is the downgrade. All right. Now let's speak on the issues. just give you an insight into... Nanaya, let me start with you. The PRC, your days is that how you've been increasing just rough? Or what accounts for the increase?
But I don't know, I'm not there.
You are not there?
Yes, because Roland, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to your viewers and
do they speak to you before they do this increment as a former?
No, they don't. I mean, they don't have to speak to me. They don't have to speak to.
So they are empowered by law to do that.
You see, let me do my greetings and I'll get there.
Okay, please greet.
Greetings to my CPP comrades. Greetings to my sisters here. And greetings to my friend, the MP for Ablekuma Central, Honorable Latif Dan. You see, they don't have to speak to anybody. They have to, there are two. I'm a bit confused as to what is happening now. Because with the major tariff review, which was done about 3 months ago, isn't it? There isn't the need for this jump with the automatic adjustment formula. Because the automatic adjustment formula is meant to shore up the value of the tariff. When the indicators that underpin the tariff, go haywire. At the time they did the tariff, they used an exchange rate of 7 cedis. When the exchange rate at the time was 15 cedis. So already you are not getting the value of the tariff.
Okay.
Do you get me? The inflation at the time, I think, was 30 something. They used less than that. So when you compare...
For the last adjustment.
At the last adjustment. But it was a major tariff review. A major tariff review presupposes that you've gone through all the cost components of the utilities. You have done all the stakeholder meetings. You have done your public assemblies. So when you come up with a tariff, it should be a tariff that should go for at least a year. Do you get me? Because after you have given that tariff, then you need to kick in the performance benchmarks as is in the tariff setting guidelines.
Given to the utility.
Given to the utility.
Services.
Yes, service. Yes, because you need to monitor their performance. Use these benchmarks to monitor whether the money you gave them, they are being prudent, they are using it properly and all that. But within about 3 months, now you say you are using automatic adjustment formula to do 29.something%, almost 30%.
You think that's steep as a consumer?
No, I'm not as a consumer. I'm saying that why do you do that? It is disingenuous. then it means that actually what you needed from the very beginning was maybe 70%. Why don't you do what you have to do considering the economic factors? You see, if the government is not doing well, and if the economic factors are not good, certainly you see some jumps. Because right now, the issue is not about lack of energy. The issue is the depreciation of the city and other factors that are going haywire. Because the utilities, most of their operations are denominated in dollars. The wires business being the grid co, the oil business being the generation, the distribution. They all use dollars
so
to
the
buy
external factors that influence the forex, that also influence
it influences them greatly.
Okay, now let's get on to the streets and speak to ordinary Ghanaians, be gauging what they've been saying or what their sentiments are on the current tariff increment by the PRC for the utility service providers.
The leaders really think about us because we are already suffering. And with this increment, I think even the money we make for a month doesn't even reach us. We are not able to spend to our own heart content. And right now they are increasing things without increments in our own earnings. We are already on the ground. I think they want to rather bury us right now. You can't reduce the consumptions. We need to purchase. We need to still consume things. But it's like what we are earning is not up to what we are consuming. So we are already at a loss.
My standard of living is affected or is merged by my salary, and then my utilities need to also go down a bit, such as the ECG increments and then the water. I would have to reduce the usage by making sure that I have enough to save.
Whether to stop using your kettle, your microwave, all those electrical things, you now have to think about it. And that means even if you are buying power, you have to buy more than you used to buy. If you say you're buying, now you can't even buy 50 cedis, now you have to buy like 100 cedis. So with the increment, you have to buy like 150 or 200 just to last you for the month.
Salary remain the same, so we find it difficult. Like maybe you have air conditioning, TV, so we have to just cut some off. Right now I have to off my air conditioning because every month I buy 60 cedis. So right now I can't buy 60 cedis for air conditioning, no.
Well, Rato, it means that this should be at least been getting some consensus or engagement from the corridors of government. How has government received this, based on the sentiments on the streets?
I mean, the sentiment. Good morning, Roland. Good morning to my sisters.
Stop attacking her. It's not fair. She hasn't even started.
I'm not attacking her.
No, please. You haven't had your turn yet.
I'm not attacking her.
Anaya, we are Ghanaians and we live in Ghana. We drive on the streets of this country. We buy food from where you buy food from. And we go to the shops that you go to. So we are aware of the sentiments of Ghana. Yes, I know the shops you go to. I've met you there a couple of times. The thing is, Roland, good morning once again. Nanaya destroying good morning to my sisters here. We now know why Mago lost their seats, but we'll talk about that later. Roland, the sentiments of Ghanaians.
She's a silent puncher. She's been punching, but when they punch her, then she's complaining. Oh, please, it's okay.
The sentiments of Ghanaians, can never go unnoticed. For government and other operational levels of government, and equally the party. We find ourselves in difficult times, and we haven't heading away from that. We have said we are we are in a crisis.
Yeah.
But it also comes to the level where services and the basic amenities for survival. Because, when you take water, air, food, electricity, and all those other things that come with modernity have virtually become part of the basics of life. But then you find yourself at a point where, do I leave the tariffs at the levels that they are for us to start having erratic power supply, erratic water supply and all that, or adjust it so that the providers of those services can give what they have to give. So we all balance it. From what the PRC came out with, if you remember, sometime last year, I don't know whether it was in August or September, there was a lengthy discussion. We all saw the numbers that the request that the service providers gave. They were in excess of 100%. I think some were asking for 300% and all that. And through the deliberations, through the considerations, factoring in all the other things that the ordinary Ghanaian was going through, it was adjusted. Some, I think ECG got some 30% or so, just around what they've gotten now. Ghana Water got some percentage. I've forgotten the numbers. But at that time, for instance, Nanaya mentioned, most of their inputs are indexed in dollars. And the exchange rate they used then was 7.5. That was the exchange rate they used to calculate. They used other things, but all those inflation and all that. Now inflation is in excess of 50%. The dollar came, it's excess of 50%, so 54%. The dollar, as at the end of the year, went as high as 15, if I recall correctly. Now it's hovering between 10 to 1 and 12 to $1. That's the main currency that's used. I mean, the other currencies are higher. The euro is higher, the pound is higher. And as against 7.5 that was used at the time that they were adjusting the tariffs. So you are torn between the devil and the deep blue sea. Do you adjust your tariffs so people go? We know what comes with lack of access to water, cholera and all that. Yeah. I mean, diseases and all that, chronic diseases. We know what comes with the erratic power supply, especially when it comes to our hospitals. In the times that we had these challenges, we had nurses and midwives virtually using flashlights for deliveries. We had babies dying in incubators, newborn babies who don't even know where they find themselves. A mother laboring for going through 9 months pregnancy, some even go 10, delivers, and a child can't survive. You can imagine all those things. People's businesses, especially those who run cold stores and all that. So all those things go into considering the adjustment of these prices. So for me, I mean, it's not, I mean, nobody wants to pay more for services. We all want to pay certain prices. I mean, even when we go to shops and other things, we bargain, try to get discounts and all that. So increasing prices is not something anybody enjoys. But you look at the exigencies of the times. You look at what the end benefit will be. You look at how comfortable it will be, you know. Because, I mean, talking about cost of living and all that, that was what came with the introduction of the cost of living allowance to adjust the lifestyle. Because your cost of living for basically is based on what you earn and what you expend. That determines your standard of living, because you need to be able to pay for the things you do. And some statistics peg, like a family of 4, cost of living around 1,200, 1,300 in Ghana. One person around 360 Ghana cedis. But even those ones are exclusive of rent and other long-term commitments we make when it comes to those things. So government is not oblivious of this. A lot of interventions are being put in place. I mean, we all remember the long tussle between Labour and government in terms of increment.
That's true.
Finally, there was an agreement.
And then the pressure on the wage bill.
The wage bill and all that. If you also remember in the times of COVID and all that, when other people were laying public workers of Ghana didn't lay anybody up. So it comes with its balance of the wage bill and all that. But finally, there was an agreement of 30%. That increases whatever would have been paid. And we've had those conversations in the studio. So it's a difficult time we find ourselves in, but we also need to come together as a people and understand some of these
and realize
things.
that these are the times.
These are the times we find us. It's difficult. I mean, if you go to a place like the UK now, I don't know whether the teachers are back to school, but teachers are on strike.
In Nigeria, for example, there are long
couple
queues.
of long queues for fuel. Fortunately, we are not going through those difficult times. I mean, at least the prices are high, but there's access to fuel. We are not, because someone was telling me you can find a fuel station in Nigeria. There's no fuel there, but you get young men hawking fuel. And we know the danger that comes to exposing fuel, and it's highly inflammable. So some of these things, a couple of weeks back, nurses in the UK were on strike because their salaries as against inflation rates was not matching up. One of them was telling me that if she was paying mortgage or paying rent, then she couldn't have survived with her 3 kids. Another had 2 children. So these things are not just peculiar to us. It's the time we find...
So those countries, are they an IMF? Or
Come again?
Those countries
Those countries
that you're mentioning, they're also at IMF.
All those people considered going to IMF. Some have made steps to that regard. But apart from also going to IMF, even within your country, you also need to know, because at the end of the day, the long-term measure is looking at your domestic resource mobilization. And those are the things. We need to come together, because whether Party A comes now, Party A, the times we find ourselves in, it's going to take a while.
So your point is that
Yes.
it is the rallying around what the intervention is that will solve us.
Yes.
It makes a lot of sense, Margot. You take consideration of what she's saying. When there are difficult times, Ghana is not alone. Well, you can make the argument about whether the countries that have even gone to the IMF went for the particular programs that we're in, because even at the board level agreement, we're not even getting it. But the empathy she's expressing, she says that seems to be the empathy that is on the corridors of government, and so everybody should bear with the current state. What do you say to that?
Good morning, Roland. Good morning to my sisters and to your cherished viewers. Roland, today in Ghana, our situation is even beyond the way we are expressing it. And I heard my sister spoke about the technicalities, how they used to increase tariffs with automatic adjustments and all that. It was supposed to be maybe within a period of 6 months, but today we're experiencing it in 3 months, meaning that there are certain emergencies probably that we are not aware of. And Laura too also spoke about the dollar rating. As of that time, they pegged it around 7 cedis, and today the dollar is like twice or whatever. Therefore, it will bring all this kind of increments and whatever. But Roland, the point is that me, as an ordinary Ghanaian on the streets, how did we get here? We voted for magicians.
What do you mean, how did we get here? You mean that should be the considerable question
we are treating the victim, the symptoms, but we are not treating the cause, because those guys are still around. And the fact that we get the solution from the root, we will come back next year, 2024, Roland, and we will be discussing this same issues all over and again. And where does it get to? This is not the campaign promises they gave us. I never knew, even if a prophet had told us that today, under Nanado Baumia's government, we'll be buying a liter of diesel about 14 Ghana cedi, I would have doubted that prophecy. Because the way they campaigned, the messaging, and you see what is so surprising and sometimes overwhelming is that they are not commensurating with the people. Look at the kind of life they live. The political class.
What life do you mean?
Do they pay electricity bills? Now that we are in dire need, we are in difficulty, what are they doing to show or to sympathize with that? As Laura too wants us to understand that they empathize, they sympathize, whatever. What are they doing to show?
What's your expectation?
Are they paying bills? Are they going to the ECD vendors and buy credit as we do? Probably that will make them understand the issue or the pain. They don't.
Why can't
How
they?
much
if you live
fuel
in your
do they
own
buy?
bungalow or your own house, if you're not living in a government bungalow,
The
that's not
kind
normal.
of life they are living, as compared to the kind of messaging they are giving us to tighten our belts, whilst their belts are so loosed. Roland, we cannot just say the technicalities, the dollar. Who is managing the dollar? The economic management team that they were lined up, praised, and named. Who is managing the dollar?
Now they are ashamed.
Who is managing the dollar? The dollar that the ex-Wa Mohammed government left at 4.3 today, where it is. And you want us to understand, like how? Roland, if you had employed somebody to take care of a company where you left $1 at 4.3 and today they are giving you excuses, will you wait that because it's a contract, you wait for them to finish their contract and collapse your business and go?
But what's your
no,
expectation?
demand accountability.
Okay.
Demand accountability. They came with expertise. You employ them based on the CV they presented to you. Therefore, if they are not performing, whatever is wrong, they must account. The kind of promises
we had COVID, we had also
Roland,
considerations from the impact of Ukraine,
with all sympathies to all those who lost their relatives, friends through COVID. But Roland, COVID was not a curse for this country. It became a blessing.
How?
COVID was not a curse for this country. It became a blessing. How much did the IMF give us during COVID? How much did the World Bank give us during COVID? How much did we even gain internally? Around 2020, 2021, GRA even exceeded 8 targets. The first time in 11 years. COVID. How? COVID became a blessing. Look at the COVID fund. We got over 21.8 billion Ghana cedis in just 1 year. In just 1 year, because of COVID. And they even claim they spent 11.7. Now, the Auditor General report has made us aware that they've even spent, we've lost about 5.2 to corruption. So invariably, out of the 21.8 billion Ghana cedis, Roland, we have spent just around 6 billion. Yet we are saying this country is broke. COVID became a blessing. How much did we borrow in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021? How much did we internally generate? Ghanaians were so...
You're enjoying free SHS, you're enjoying one district, one factory, you're enjoying one constituency, 1 million, one village, one dam, all those things. You have to...
Roland, we are enjoying all this.
Even within COVID, you had free electricity,
and
free water.
Roland, I was coming there. Even in COVID, Nanaya, do you know that Ghanaians pay their taxes for the GRA to exceed their targets? Even in COVID. So look at the nature of people we are. And look at the type of leadership we are experiencing. The gap is so wide that you can't even understand. Sometimes people say that the leaders, the people reflect their leaders. But this is a no. This current managers of the economy is a no. And I don't know those who were in 83 that experienced hardship and whatever. But this kind of hardship, for me, it has never happened in this country before. It has never happened. And upon all these excruciating factors, the pain we are going through, you come back, rub it on our faces that you are increasing fuel, you are increasing electricity tariffs, you are increasing water, electricity 30%, water 8.3. How? What measures have you put in place
They say they're empathizing,
to minimize empathy? When this gentleman, the first gentleman of this land, was flying a 14 million pounds jet in an hour, 14,000 pound jet in an hour. When we were telling him to calm down, what did they tell us? The Minister for National Security went to Parliament and told us that the gentleman we have employed and we are paying, he cannot tell us how much he's spending on his foreign travels. Today, you are going to individual pockets, taking their money. And you are telling us that this one is not more of a national security, but the present cost on travel is more of national security. Roland, I am so surprised that Ghanaians are so quiet. That is my worry. They came to the poor, the Kayo, the ordinary person, took their e-levy. The rich and the bourgeoisie and the middle class were quiet. Today, have you seen where they are now? They are in your pockets. Very soon they'll get to your savings. We must arise and speak through to these people.
Arise where? You are seated, you want to arise
They
where?
will come to our savings right now. So, Roland, it is
please bring
bad
Margot some
management.
water.
Bad management that has brought us here. Nobody should sympathize and empathize. Did we employ them to come and make stories to us? Is that how we employ? Why we employ them? Why did we queue to pay for to give these people employment, pay them, give them luxurious life? They even added their own, and today they are impoverishing us.
Hey.
Why?
You didn't hear Lorato. Lorato says government is considering all the factors.
You see how Nanado lives? As some media people say, like an Arabian king, and you want us to empathize, sympathize.
Because you have worked before.
He's dancing in our poverty.
Let me ask my question.
He's dancing in our
Because
poverty.
you have worked before with the PRC, at the end of the day, you're also a consumer. Lorato is a consumer. Margot is a consumer. I'm a consumer. The ordinary people that we play there are also consumers. How do we take consideration of the difficulties we're in and also make an argument that the ordinary Ghanaian needs a reprieve, but at the same time, there is a cost to providing these services consistently? Well, of course, we haven't seen power outages, apart from maybe localized ones, etc. There's consistent provision of water, and we need these things to live. So,
there's no consistent provision of water.
Well,
no water.
So it depends on where you live, actually.
Yeah.
But at least, for example, Lorato is saying we need to make sure that these things are running. And if we know we're enjoying them, we can't come back and say that they are expensive. They come at a cost.
Roland, when Lorato was speaking, tears welled up in my eyes. Yes, because you see, at the time that I was in the PURC, I was taken out because I used words like exigencies of the times. The MPP said that I was arrogant, that I used words like exigencies of the time. We need to pay to get good service. All the things that she's saying today, see, unfortunately, she wasn't the one who said those things, so I was fair. But I never thought that one day, a semblance of MPP would defend tariff increases.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that I never thought in my whole life that any semblance of the new patriotic party, an iota of their existence, would defend increases in electricity tariffs.
Why?
Yes, because they said that it is a no-go area. We are increasing tariffs. They even went ahead to say that we are increasing tariffs to put it in our pockets. You see, this is the dishonesty of the MPP governments. Before they came into power, they said when they come after tariff, they will never increase tariffs. They said they will never increase tariffs. Have you seen their nature? Now they are defending it. Have you seen their nature? They are defending increases in tariffs. I am surprised that God has not made their roof, their tongues stick to the roof of their mouths. I am surprised that today the new patriotic party is defending the increases of tariffs. Where is AFAC? Where are those people? Where are all those people occupy Ghana? AFAC, where are they? Where are all the people who said that we've increased tariff and it's a taboo? This shows that you cannot do without increasing of tariffs, as long as we have the kind of economy that we have. And that the economy has been mismanaged to this level. At least in our time, it wasn't about, when I was a PRC, it wasn't about mismanagement of the economy. It was about the scarcity of the commodity. Today, you say that the commodity is not scarce, but you have mismanaged the economy so badly that the indicators and parameters are directing us to a certain level. You see, because of what they did before, they cannot even come out to say that they need to increase the tariff to a certain level.
What did they do before? Is to say that the tariffs were increased at the time.
What did they do? You don't know what they did. All the noises, all the where is CUC? Where is Yaba? Where are they? That those times when you if you use automatic adjustment to do even 2%, they will be on the streets with their red bands. Where are they? Where are they today? I am telling you that this tariff they are talking about, they are looking at a certain figure. And I will not be surprised if it is a conditionality for the IMF deal.
It's possible, eh?
I'm telling you. And you see, because of they are being so dishonest that they are bringing it piecemeal. Why are they not defending it? Why are they not telling us what went into this 29, almost 30%? Why? Today, if you have units on your prepaid, it is slashed by 30%. So if you had 100 Ghana, today it is left with 70. No, I mean seriously. But I am so surprised that today MPP is defending the increases in tariffs. They say they will never increase tariffs, they will never increase fuel. But look at
They'll bring the dollar down.
They will bring the dollar down. They will create jobs for us. Every time there was a tariff increase, even when you do a stakeholder meeting to explain to them, they will come out and say something else. That poor me sitting here was witch hunted so badly. Just because that today they can't even get somebody to defend it properly. They wish they had somebody to defend it properly for them. They wish.
How do you resonate with the response that there are forex losses and there are also exogenous factors that tend to influence the
like
way
what? Which are the
exogenous?
Like which one? Give me an example of the exogenous factors.
Okay, so the impact of the COVID-Ukraine war.
You see, this is what I don't want to hear.
Why?
I like you so much. Please don't even go there. Ukraine. What Ukraine?
Ukraine.
What COVID? COVID that, I mean, we got so much money out of COVID. COVID that we are now paying a COVID levy. That even the water and electricity that was given for free purportedly, we are paying for it through a COVID levy. Today, when you go to the shop and you buy, there is a levy called COVID levy. Very soon we'll have malaria levy. We'll have HIV levy. The money that we got through COVID that they just misused, is it not the same amount you are looking for from the IMF? Is it not $3 billion? Is it not the same amount? Is it not the same amount you are looking for from the IMF? And we couldn't use that money for anything substantial for the development and improvement of this nation. Is it not the same? They just misused. Is it not? It is so nauseating, and it is so, yes, it is so sad. It is so disheartening that the figures and the information coming out concerning the disbursement of the COVID levy. To think that this government said that for
you mean the COVID expenditure?
Sorry, the COVID expenditure. Sorry. Even the COVID levy, the proceeds that have come out, have they told us how much have we accrued out of the COVID levy? Have we been able to pay for the water and the electricity?
Even the fund led by Gloria.
Yes, even the fund. They almost disgraced that woman, you know. A very astute person who's made her name. They almost disgraced her. Then eventually somebody...
You mean Sophia?
Yes, somebody had to come and refund money from the Ministry of Finance. Even with this one, somebody was supposed to take money to, what is the place? This bus, the transit, yes, 200,000. Metro Mass. Immediately, it was found that he said he's going to refund. How?
Why? What were you
this Sanerugu woman? What was I expecting? How did it even happen?
What was your expectation? I mean,
how can you go and chop government money and say I'm going to refund? They give you money to go and work. You have to go and work with it. This Sanerugu woman, you remember? When she was saying, they said, oh, it is not true. Now what are we seeing? I'm asking you, what are we seeing? You said this one and you do something. I am surprised that Ghanaians, where are we? Ghanaians have not passed a vote of no confidence in this government. And still they have the temerity, the wherewithal, to come defending some of the things that they do. They are not even ashamed. They are not shamefaced. They still come out. Because if we juxtapose what they told us 2014, 15, 16, against what is happening now. Look at this oil for gold deal. When I was talking about it, everybody said, Nanaya, your mouth is big. Now the CEOs are asking the same questions that I was asking.
Which are?
How much gold is going out? Laratu said they'll bring us the information. Today I found out that they are I said the same thing. They said it is a lie. Laratu here told me it's a lie. They are purchasing the gold with dollars, not cedis. But the gold on the world market price, if I am an investor and I am selling my gold, why should I sell it to you in cedis? Because we don't have gold. Unless it is Galamsey gold they are using, then we do not know. Because Ghana has no gold. We've given everything out. So what is it? What is this? You see, we need transparency in such transactions. When I said that it is part of the JAPA that they are implementing, they are exacting, they said that I am a liar. What is happening? Now, CSOs are asking questions. And Ghanaians, we should ask questions. You should be able to know what this government is doing.
Okay. So what's government's own commensurate reprieve for how difficult the increment in tariffs, the concerns being raised about COVID expenditure is in terms of the responses, or even ameliorating their
when we come
living
here
conditions?
to talk,
Yes, please.
or to have discussions, I mean, we may have our sentiments, we may have our issues. I mean, it's difficult times we find ourselves in. If you're buying fuel at a high price, definitely you won't be the happiest person, and we are all not. But we need to be able to speak to the facts and speak to the realities. In one breath, Nanaya says Ghanaians are not speaking. Everybody is quiet. In another breath, civil societies are asking questions.
How many are they? We are talking about
civil
the
society,
mass. The
Nanaya,
mass of
please.
Ghanaians. We should be out there
Please.
asking you questions.
Don't heckle them.
You
I'm not
mentioned,
heckling
you,
them.
Don't
you
heckle them.
called
I am
out certain
I'm correcting
pressure
them.
groups, but in another breath, you say civil society. We can also call out CJA and all those other things. We were in this country when Professor Mills, may he so rest in peace, said he was going to reduce fuel drastically. We saw what happened when they came. Depending on the times we find ourselves in. And this is not to say nobody feels what you're going through. Margot should tell me, when she was MCE, was she going to buy electricity? You have, when you find yourself in an office, it comes with certain conditions as part of your service to make you comfortable. She has been in local government before. I believe she knows the MCE. She asks the person if the 30% decrease in their salary is not reflected. Some are getting barely around 500,000 because of the decrease in other things. I mean, these are things that are happening. Don't let us make it. In 2018, you see, when you have a government that looks at the trends, looks at what is happening, and acts according to it. You don't have people are talking, look at how long it took government and labor to come to 30%. But it was a matter of giving them. We are not the kind of government that says whatever you say,
You mean
whatever.
the current wage
Yes,
increase?
yes. It took a long time for them to come to an agreement.
But even then, the pressure was on government. The government's stakeholder engagement.
But at the end of the day,
commitment was poor.
Yes, but they were engaging. There were ministers, and the labor minister was there. The representatives of the finance minister was there. There are a couple of meetings that the finance minister himself was there, because when it started, we had all these issues with IMF meetings and all that. But in 2018, if you remember, electricity tariffs were reduced by same PURC based on what the issues were. So if now there are difficulties and they have to increase.
So are you saying those increments were worse than today?
Come again. You look at the times and you look at what the figures are. So if they've been able to decrease between 2013 and 2016, there was over 280%
I'm asking you.
You get it.
It is not true.
Please.
You get it. And these are facts that you can check from the energy ministry.
I'm asking you.
You get it.
Whether those
These are
increments,
those
whether
things
those
that
increments
you can
were
cook
worse
because
than today.
energy ministry works with PRC. You get it.
Today,
Government in 2018,
you can't throw
government
it is not true.
Government urged PRC to do the reductions based on what the circumstances were.
That was a
You get
political
it.
thing they did. What circumstances? The figures didn't match the
Nana, when you were there and you are
No, but
claiming
don't
someone
throw
said
the
you
question I
made
asked,
political
please
inclusion,
answer
you
me.
are not happy about it.
Lorato.
But now you are accusing
Lorato.
people
Lorato.
of the same things that you are complaining
Lorato.
about.
Lorato.
And I think we need to be
Lorato.
fair.
So I'm
What
asking you
fair?
the
Don't
question.
throw,
Nana, let's be fair.
No. So,
those people
Lorato,
there
I'm asking you
will
the question.
probably be people you've worked with
Lorato.
or people within
Lorato.
the same
I said, don't
political,
Lorato.
you
There
get
was
it.
no 200%.
Lorato, I'm asking you that those
200
references you made
Yes.
to 2015, 2016.
No, 2018, that
I
was when the
understand.
reduction
Yes, and
was
then you
done.
said that there were adjustments within their period,
Yes.
or the period of
Yes.
the NDC. And I'm asking you, are you saying that those adjustments were higher than today,
Come
or
again.
worse than today, in terms of those adjustments?
When you do they have
Because we're worse off today. That's
Come
why I'm
again.
asking you the question.
Roland, will
Yes,
be
please.
worse. You see, when you talk about, even if you want to do a layman appreciation of interest rates, dollar exchange rates, dollar to CD exchange rate, when did they pick? When did they? At what level did they pick the dollar? 1-to-1. Even if we want to go, it was 1.2 to 1. When they left, it was what? Almost 5.
Well, the president
Yes,
said he would
it's
bring
what?
it back
It's
to
time.
1.
Yes.
The president
when
did
we
say
came
that.
into
There's
power
a
from
video to it,
yes,
to
from
that. Okay.
2010, you can't be dependent on importation at the level that we have and not have exchange rate issues. These are the realities of the situation. But between 2017 and 2022, the dollar was stable. The dollar was stable. That is how come even when they were doing the tariff adjustment, they pegged it around 7.5. The dollar was stable. Until we had it. When did the dollar started
but at
rising?
2015, 2016, Dr. Mahmoud Obamia, who now leads the economic management, they tell us that all those will be reversed. And it's based on those indicators and the promises that were made, that for which that the president and his government was voted into
So you
power. But now that is not a reality.
Roland, you make your promises, you make your predictions based on what you have at a particular time. That is why even the economists will tell you ceteris paribus, all other things being equal. We've sat at this table and spoken about external factors. We don't have control over those external factors.
But Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia
But
said
at
there was
that
money in
time-
this country, everything could be done right.
Roland, you don't believe there's money in this country? You don't believe
Am I
that
supposed to answer
you
that
don't
question?
believe that if
Or is
we
that rhetoric?
all listen, you don't believe that if we all pay what you're supposed to pay, we all do what we're supposed to, there's no money in this country?
Is that the assumption that we
No,
haven't
that's
been paying?
I'm asking.
Okay.
People are evading taxes. People are cutting corners. People are doing things that of course, there are institutions supposed to make sure that these things that doesn't happen. And that is what I always say, that at the end of the day, it comes to all of us. It comes to all of us. We have our sentiments. We have our goals to what the next election should be and all that. But would there be an economy to manage when we don't come together and
So
build
what would
this?
you say to the concerns of the ordinary consumer
The ordinary consumer. They are legitimate.
about these increases?
They are legitimate. But the thing is, we find ourselves in a crisis. We find ourselves in a difficult time. We find ourselves at a point in time in our country where most of the factors that come to play are external, and we don't have so much control over them. We find ourselves in a point where the people that you are even importing the things from for your survival are also having challenges because of what came. And when Margot says COVID was a blessing, she's right. When it comes to reforms, COVID was a blessing. But when it comes to expenditure, COVID wasn't. When did COVID hit us? The first announcement was made in March 2020.
Yes.
Right. When was our budget for 2020 read? November 2020. November 2019.
What's the point?
You get it. The point is, you plan, but when external factors come in, that is why even in contracts, there are clauses of force majeure. So you plan, you read your budget. We're going to do this. We're going to do this to this. We're going to then first quarter, even before you could end first quarter, you are hit by this COVID virus. I mean, how many people at that time knew what? And it's on record. Ghana has been applauded by how good, because we tackled it, so we didn't lose people. I mean, those we lost. I mean, it's unfortunate, but we didn't lose people because we came in. We have all this. You go to those days, sanitizers, gloves, and all those things. Are things you saw in the hospital. But now we all had to have it in our houses. There was a lockdown and all that. It came with its own thing, and it has affected the whole global chain. If someone says that, oh, what has Russia got to do with it? Russia is a leading producer of oil. There will be another argument about the windfall, because we are also an oil producing thing.
Okay.
Yes.
Please
but
wrap up.
When you look at what we export and what we import, it's virtually at variance. So it cancels out. Okay. So all these arguments, I mean, there have been some excesses and all. Those things need to be dealt with. But when it comes to the livelihood of the because we can sit down here and talk about people who took double salaries, people who put us in contracts that we are still struggling with.
But that's why the election was lost.
That's what I'm saying.
So why do you keep going back?
Yeah, we'll go back because they have no moral right to be talking about it. And what I will say is that with all that they say, Roland, with all that they say, what alternative have they given as the other side of they are our compatriots. You get it? Government hasn't done this, government hasn't done that. What is the alternative? What will you do better? They can say.
Margot, if I go to point 15 of the Auditor General's special report on COVID expenditure and the general comment on infractions in the report, it's clearly stated the infractions represent either losses that have been incurred by the states through the lack of adherence to the public financial management laws of our country. And this one deepens even the conversation further in reference to what Lorato is saying, that, well, COVID was a dent by way of what the objectives were. Because clearly we've had enough, according to the Auditor General, but mismanagement or misapplication has led to these huge losses. So what do you make of what is carrying out by way of the communication?
You see,
and then what the actuals are?
If a government 6 years on still talks about the previous government, then I strongly believe that that government has no business in power.
We're actually in the 7th year.
7th year now. Then that government has no power no point to be even in power at all. 6 years, 7 years on.
Why not?
You are still talking. And she even made reference to the late Professor Mills. Roland, can you compare Prof's posture to the current president? May God forbid, if under the NDs and Professor Mills, we were going through this kind of hardship, will you compare Prof? You can just imagine Prof's posturing to this gentleman who is now the president, President Nana Addo. So she shouldn't even do that kind of comparison. And she was asking you a question. She needed an answer. She was asking you whether there's no money in this country. Roland, there is money, Papa, in this country. There is money in this country. She wanted you to answer. Who said COVID was a blessing for how do you call it, in infrastructure or whatever, but it was a curse for expenditure? Really, from their own Auditor General, which the NDC is charging him to surcharge those people who are found culprits to this loss. COVID has given us over 21 billion. They have just spent about 6 billion. Roland, we are in excess of 16.9 billion. COVID funds alone just in 1 year.
What do you mean
You see,
by that?
we have carried Ghana in an ambulance at the far front of the IMF in a very dying state, telling them that we are begging them to give us 3 billion in 3 years. Yet, COVID gave us over 6 billion in just 1 year, because the 21.8 billion, as of that time, the city equivalent was around 6 cities. So over 6 billion in 1 year, and you have excess of 16.1 billion in this country. And we are going where to look for money. Now we are going to individuals, the individual bondholders. We are targeting about 5 billion from them. Meanwhile, over 16 billion is with President Nana Addo, Baumia, and Kenoforiata. So there is money in this country. You needed to answer, Loratu. There is money in this country. Nobody should believe. And you see, we are patronizing them and they are being so condescending that Ghana is broke. Who said Ghana is broke? We should allow them to take the money and they should impoverish us. That is why I agree with Nanaya telling Ghanaians to arise. We are not angry enough. These guys have the money. Only covered though. I'm not going talking about Crow and Associates. I'm not talking about PDS. I'm not talking about contaminated fuel. I am not even going there. 2021, 2020, 2023. COVID only has given us in excess, according to the Auditor General's report, over 16.9 billion is in this country. Nanado and his cohorts are sitting on it. And somebody want me to believe that there's no money in this country. Why must we allow them to go? Roland, so indeed, answer Loratu, there is money in this country. She's asking us if all of us are doing what we are supposed to do and paying what we are supposed to. Really? We have voted for a team that is underperforming and they don't want to account. They don't want to be responsible. They are rather shifting blame on the citizens. I am so surprised. Roland, you see, when you sit down and you hear the MPP speak with the impudence of, you see, ignorance clothed with pride. You don't know anything.
Because Loratu says...
No, Roland. Look at her. You see, all the problems that we have, all these problems, it boils down to this dollar CD thing. It's all about it. This fuel increment, the PDCs will sell it to the OMCs at a forwarded rate because they do not trust our economy. They don't trust our CD. So within 30 days, they believe that if the dollar today is 10 CD, it will be 20 cedis in 30 days. Therefore, they give it to them at a forwarded rate. All this hardship, all this pain, all this buhaha is bad management because the vice president who became a town hall prefect and now a rent assistant, whatever, is not up to task.
Well,
it's not up to task.
Economic management team, and you see,
it was so amazing. Somewhere along the line, they form a 40-member squad like a Saito class. They did not even include him to say an opening prayer. Vice president, who is in charge of the economic management team. Roland, we are finished though. Let's not joke with this thing. It is women and children. Roland, we suffer a lot. On Tuesday, I was at the hospital with my girl. When you see how people buying drugs, Roland, it's so, I don't know how to describe it. We are in pain. Now food is the most expensive thing in this country. Gari, ordinary gari that you could just add granules and sugar. Gari that we used to buy at 2 cedis. Gari now has a price. Gari now has a price, Roland. What will you eat? Ordinary tea roll. Roland, ordinary tea roll for the lower level is around 35 cedis. If you are in their class, you are buying to around 70 Ghana 100. Tea roll, Roland. Go to the market. The oil, right, of 5 liters that we used to buy,
but
48.
That's why Loratu says,
no, Roland.
It's about the
you see,
we are suffering.
We import a lot. We are suffering. Dr. Baumia promised moving this country from taxation to production. What is the production he was talking about? What is the production? They will tell you they build factories. The other time I met one of their communicators, they said they built around 70-something. Only a tuabo gas. We use about just 1 billion to build. The income, the employment, the benefits given this country, put Nanado's 100 districts together. It can't stand it. What kind of logic is this? Then yet they tell us that they have built factories. What? Eco juice. Have you found eco juice? I have been in the mall. I've been on the supermarkets. Well, and you can't find eco juice. I haven't eco juice. I haven't. You see, the people are deceiving us.
You have some in your car.
I have some in my car.
Roland,
because
the people are deceiving us. Loratu, let me finish. Let me land. You have your take. Roland, these guys are deceiving us. And my call this morning is Ghanaians, let's not be too quiet because the way things are moving, Roland, they will come to us. They will come to us. So the way they went to the Kayo and the ordinary people took their e-levy and told us that e-levy will solve petrol problems. It will solve electricity. E-levy will build our roads. E-levy will build hospitals. Today, if you are sick and you are going to the hospital, your problem is not the doctor. Your problem is not the medication. Your problem is bed, where you want to sleep. Yet we have excess of 16 billion. Nanado and Konofriata sitting on it, and they want us to believe that we are poor. Which country is poor? Which Ghana are they talking about? And you have carried us to, I am begging for 3 billion in 3 years when you had over 6 billion in 1 year. You are going to individual bondholders, and you see, that is why I said arrogance coupled with pride. You want to take my money, you have to agree to this. Really? Really?
Well, there's a reason being ascribed.
There's a reason. There's what?
Well, Margot, there are reasons being ascribed
the 55% debt to GDP ratio that they want to achieve in 2028. That was what President Mahama left for them. So you see the incompetence they were talking about. The incompetent government left you a debt to GDP rate that today you are striving, you are praying, you are fasting to achieve in 3-4 years. What a shame.
No, Nania, there are key considerations. I'll just give you 2 minutes and I'll go for a break. If you can just indulge me.
2 minutes. Will you come back to give me more time?
When I come back. If these are the arguments, the arguments that, look, because of forex losses and the state of the economy, the debts, etc., we have to make considerations from the point of government. At least there should be some empathy on our part as well, or as citizens.
My dear, you see, the point is that this government has taken this country back 40 years. We are now in a stone age.
And by which benchmark are you
by
using?
Everything that they are doing. Everything. The only thing is that we are not queuing for goods. Talk to the women who sell. People are not even buying. Especially those who are selling essential commodities, milk and things, they are getting expired. They've taken us back. Also, Laratu was saying that Ghanaians will evade taxes. Can you evade tax in the US? You cannot evade taxes. This government is lazy even in the collection of taxes.
No, but they've met every tax expenditure.
They've met what?
The targets given to the GRA.
I am telling you that are they realistic targets or are they okay targets? There are people who don't pay taxes in this country.
And you fought government for it?
Why not? Whose duty is it? Is it my duty to collect taxes? My duty is to pay my tax. My duty is to pay my tax. The benchmarks they are giving to GI, are they benchmarks that are real? They are very lazy in collecting taxes. There are areas in this country where taxes are not collected. There are people in this country who pay taxes. And they only do it through e-levy, another lazy way. You impoverish us. And you come and take money from our wallets. You steal from us. If you are talking about burden share, they should also burden share. Their lifestyles should show us. They should start traveling economy. They should start cutting down on their travel. They should start cutting down on staff. The people they have loaded at the Jubilee House, they should start cutting down.
What do you mean by they should cut down? By what mean? Because Laura did make a mention of something, that you prefer solution. You just don't make just overall overture statements.
Please, if they needed solutions, they would have made us go for an economic dialogue. This simmering issues, it started 2020.
So what do you mean by they should cut down? Cut down what?
They should cut down on their expenditure. They should be prudent. They should be prudent. You see, when you come into government, what you do is that you create an environment for the people who work for you to do their own thing. As you government, you develop and you industrialize. You let these people be in the private sector where you yourself have grown industries. Then you send the people there. You don't put them at the seat of government. You don't load the seat of government with people you do not need. Staff, expertise you do not need. You don't even know whether they have the requisite expertise to be there. They have loads of communicators. Director, this media, all loaded there. And we've all been crying that they should cut down on expenditure. The president these days is always traveling. He's in Dubai, he's here.
Well, if it's an emergency.
What is the emergency?
Well, the Dubai travel, for example.
Please, what is emergency? Energy minister cannot go.
Well, he was there.
So why should the energy minister and the president go at the same time? When we are in a crisis, if he doesn't go, what will happen? Or if we don't even go, what did they bring us? They should give us benchmarks. They should tell us what did they add to our problem right now? Why are they still chasing bondholders? How did it help us? And when the president is traveling, you know the arrangements that goes with it. So if he doesn't go and the energy minister goes alone, what will happen? He can't come back and report. Why should he go with him? Why should we even go? How did they help us?
Well, perhaps the president's presence and also you did see the statements he made, trying to make calls.
Please, there's no perhaps. We don't need statements at this moment. We need practical solutions. We've had enough of the statement. The rhetoric is too much. The oratory is too much. We need practical solutions. We need to get out of this quagmire. We need to get out of this economic situation that is dire. If I get up and I buy 200 cedis of fuel, I get only 3 gallons. Where will 3 gallons take me? A car that I used to use 200 Ghana cedis to fill my car. Now it is only 3 gallons. Roland, how can that be? 200 cedis used to fill my car. Now it is only 3 gallons. And you are talking about statement. That statement put food on the table for Ghanaians.
You haven't heard the president telling the G20 and the rest of the developed world that we need some debt relief, debt forgiveness,
is it not even, I mean, the word is not coming. Are we not ashamed that at this time, with all the resources God has given to us, we go and sit in front of these white people? What do they have in their countries? They are developing their nations through what we have. In Ghana, we have almost everything. How have we harnessed it to the benefit of the Ghanaian? You see, if you're a president, the most important thing is that the Ghanaian will be okay. Not you, not your team, the Ghanaian. Because whatever you are holding in custody, it's for the Ghanaian. But because all of us cannot look after it, we say that we are putting you in government to be a custodian. And if you're a custodian, you look after us like you have a child at home. This government should know that all the promises they gave, we listened. And we expected them to look after us because we have given them our resources to look after our money. We've given them the ability, the capacity to go and borrow. And when you go and borrow, be prudent. You don't use the money for consumption, you use it for investment. That will benefit the future.
But you haven't seen the investment. One district, one factory.
What district, one? Roland, please, I beg you, not this morning. I haven't eaten. What district, which one factory? Please, let's find some funding and let's go around ourselves. This team, let somebody fund us and let us go and see for ourselves. They come and throw dust into our eyes. If there is actually one district, one factory, if there's industrial,
you haven't seen Akufi Juice,
Akufi Juice is always by the street.
At least those ones personally.
She said she hasn't seen
Akufi Juice
is by the street.
Akufi Juice is only on the Spinters with the car, not the juice. I haven't seen it in any shop. I've seen the car by the street. By the street on Spinters Road. I haven't seen the product in any shop.
Nani Ajantwa.